Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Well folks, you know what time it is. It's polling analysis time ahead of the 2022 election. And man, do I have a massive update for you guys today. Like I keep saying, Democrats are doing victory laps a little bit too early. Are they getting a resurgence? Absolutely. Are the circumstances good for them right now? Absolutely. But the whole premise is built on muddy foundation, and the whole thing is very likely to collapse. The Democrats are trying to take credit and declare wins in a very unstable environment, especially economically. And essentially the point that I've been making is there's still over 2 months to go. There's still a whole lot of time and a whole lot of campaigning, and many of the key races are just getting started after primary season, and we've already seen massive shifts. Dr. Oz is slowly catching up, JD Vance takes the lead in Ohio, and now folks, probably the Democrat worst nightmare, political firebrand, Kari Lake. Some may call her a political superstar, but I don't think we're gonna go there just yet because she doesn't have a track record like Ron DeSantis, but absolutely based, no holds barred, ultra MAGA savage Kari Lake apparently just took the lead in the gubernatorial election of Arizona. Democrats are not okay looking like crying soy jack. As it seems, Katie Hobbs' campaign is crumbling and Kari Lake is rising like a damn rocket. Let me show you guys exactly what I mean. Let's continue to talk about the different factors, at least the way I see them. Of course, I'm injecting my biases, folks, a little bit of hopium as well, I'm not gonna deny it. But I just have a good feeling the Democrats are going to be very disappointed come election day. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on here. We've got some stuff to get into, friends, so let's roll the tape. We've been hearing forever that choosing candidates like Kari Lake is going to be a big mistake, that conservative politics needs to move away from, quote, extreme candidates. What they mean when they say extreme, by the way, are honest, truth-telling candidates. The concept of electability, Kari Lake is unelectable. Well, not so fast, leftists, mainstream media, and the Republican establishment. Kari Lake is doing big things. So we know that Kari Lake has been trailing in all of the early polls before the Republican primary. Then Kari Lake becomes the nominee of the Republican Party in Arizona, and the latest Fox News poll had her losing by only 3 points. Well, fast forward about 2 weeks later, Kari Lake now takes the lead in the most recent Trafalgar Group poll. Take a look at the numbers. Kari Lake now leading Katie Hobbs at 47 to 46%. And what this means, friends, is that Republican voters in the state of Arizona have consolidated their votes behind Kari Lake. The narrative was that neocon conservative voters would never support someone like Kari Lake, but the fact of the matter is they are. The entire Republican base has consolidated behind her, and that spells extremely bad news for Katie Hobbs. Because in a situation like this, two things are true. It seems as though Kari Lake now has a consolidated Republican base behind her. She's being supported near unanimously by the Republican base in Arizona. Katie Hobbs, the exact same thing. She has Democrats backing her up. And what does that mean, friends? Well, it means that independents are going to make the decision. And we have covered so many different polls. Kari Lake is winning with independents in the state of Arizona. That means there's two deciding factors in this election: independent and undecided split, which is likely to benefit Kari Lake. And then, of course, the most important factor, and a factor that a lot of these polls are not accounting for, Republican voter turnout, or Republican voter enthusiasm, or specifically the gap, which we've seen as high as 20 points in favor of Republicans. That means there's a likelihood that more Republicans show up to vote on election day in 2022 than Democrats. And that is something that these polls or the data is not accounting for. People are pointing to one specific New York district, District 19, as a counter to this argument, but it's a little bit too premature, a little bit of a leap. And I'm not exactly looking at New York's 19th district as a prediction bellwether. Like I keep saying, friends, Democrats are in for a serious surprise. And really, if you pay attention, I mean, this whole focus on extreme right-wing candidates or Trump candidates, of course, I really shouldn't be encouraging these terms and these slanderous labels, but that's the narrative that Trump opponents are running with. The idea that those individuals are unelectable, but the fact of the matter is, those Trump-style candidates are the ones that are overperforming. And it's really because of their honesty and their ability to speak the truth. I mean, Kari Lake isn't holding back. I said she's a no-holds-barred candidate for a reason. She continues to challenge Katie Hobbs to a debate. Katie Hobbs is totally MIA, as Kari Lake says. And no wonder she's MIA, because she has to confront Kari Lake.
Joining me now, the GOP nominee for the Arizona governor race, Kari Lake. Kari, you actually put out an offer on a silver platter to your opponent, Katie Hobbs. You gave her the opportunity to name the time, the place, and even write every single question for a possible debate. That happened about 2 days ago. Have you heard anything from her since?
Katie Hobbs is MIA. It's just crazy. You should have to debate your opponent, right? But she refuses to debate me. I guess I can't blame her. She doesn't have anything to run on. She knows that I'm going to hold her accountable for her horrific record. This woman is a monster. She has been twice convicted of being a racist. 2 separate juries convicted Hobbs of racial discrimination, costing the voters close to $3 million. She supports abortion right up until birth and beyond. She's against school choice, yet she went to a private school and she sent her daughter to a charter school. And she literally supports child genital mutilation and even lists that on her website. She is truly the most radical candidate in the entire country, and Arizona is absolutely not interested in Katie Hobbs. She doesn't want to face the voters.
She's not playing games, folks. She's not your conservative neocon Republican who's still a one-track mind campaigning on inflation and nothing else. We get it, inflation's not a good thing, but there's a whole lot more than that when it comes to Republican winning issues. And Kari Lake knows how to campaign, she knows how to debate, she knows how to hit right on the money, right on the mark, and has Katie Hobbs in the fetal position hiding. And hiding isn't going to be a good strategy. There's still 2 months of campaigning, and Republican candidates across the board in a lot of the races where they're supposedly behind are starting to make serious gains. Blake Masters continues to close the gap on Mark Kelly in Arizona. He's now behind only 4 points, as you guys can see in the same Trafalgar group. Even in the state of Michigan, Tudor Dixon is getting real close to being within the margin of error, the latest poll showing her behind Democrat Whitmer by only 4 percentage points. If Republican candidates frankly get within 6 percentage points in the polls, if you ask me, it's a toss-up, and if they're even closer in the polls, then it's very likely that Republicans have a very strong chance of winning, because we know that the polls are off, especially in a failed Democrat presidential first-term midterm. I mean, for Pete's sakes, polling data is suggesting that Ron Johnson is losing to Mandela Barnes in the state of Wisconsin. The most recent Trafalgar group shows him behind 2.3 percentage points. I don't know about you guys, but that seems very highly unlikely. Democrats are going to need much bigger leads across the board if they plan on maintaining the House. The Senate's a complete toss-up right now, but I'm leaning towards Republicans at least winning by 1 or 2 seats. None of this is an exact science, of course, it's just my analysis, but I'm standing by it strongly, especially since I think that this is going to be the best time for Democrats. There's been a lot of things over the last month and a half that have benefited the Democrats politically. It's given them some momentum, but eventually reality is going to settle in. Joe Biden's student loan debt forgiveness plan is very likely going to be challenged in court. There's a good chance that he doesn't win and that the whole thing gets nixed. We're seeing some instability in the Middle East once again, even reports of the Iranian government enriching uranium, and of course, economic conditions still haven't recovered. In fact, if you ask me, they're getting even worse, meaning the next 2 months could get real bad for Joe Biden, of course, by virtue or by extension, the Democrats. If Joe Biden's approval rating continues to tank downward after its little bounce back, that's of course going to have an effect. And if the RNC can get its head out of its behind and start campaigning properly, well then, like I keep saying, folks, Democrats are in for a very, very disappointing election night. But like I keep saying, at the end of the day, that's just my opinion, it's my prediction. We're just gonna have to see what happens. You can't get too cocky, but this is just my current take. Democrats think Kari Lake is unelectable. I think she's going to be very, very hard to stop, and I'd be willing to put money on that. That's what I got for you guys, though. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna get back to work, though. Thanks for watching, friends, and I will see you on the next one.